It was the winter of, I think, 1869, and that man had walked in and there was something off about him. He strode in with confidence, I can tell you that much. I recommended that he did the trail with a friend, but he avidly refused.
What was weird about him?
He just seemed too arrogant. The Yukon Trail is not a trail anyone should do alone, especially in negative 50-degree weather. Quite foolish if you ask me. He didn't seem prepared to withstand the cold. In all the years I've worked at the trail, I've never seen someone so utterly consumed with the idea of going alone. It's almost like he wanted to prove something to someone, which clouded all the little common sense and judgment that he had. I've always tried to warn everyone of traveling alone on the trail, but that man persisted against my advice. He was determined to tell everyone back home in the States what real cold was, but obviously he failed miserably. What more could I have done?
There was no way that the man could ever have survived the cold, especially with no one with him. I've seen many on this trail who've tried and failed to complete the trail. Do you think you had a part to play in his death? Many believe you could have helped him out, but you chose not to. Why? Could I have really? He was doomed from the moment he came on the path. He chose his fate the moment he decided to come without a trail mate. The man wasn't even dressed properly. It wasn't even hard for me to get to him. His jacket was not made to withstand me. It was way too easy. He did all the things you are told not to do. He went alone on the trail. He walked on ice. He made a fire under a tree, for crying out loud. His faith was completely sealed when he fell into the water. There was no coming back from that. At that point, the ice was consuming his body from his feet up. And at that moment, he must have known it was the end of the road. There was no saving him. Do you think he's a hero? He was the biggest fool I'd ever came across. Any other hero would be ashamed to be grouped with him. Jack London would have rolled in his grave if he knew the readers considered him a hero. Even if he did make it out alive, the hypothermia would have taken his fingers, his toes, and all of his confidence. He'd be a shell of who he once was before the trail. He was no match for me. I am who I am. I can't make exceptions for all the people. He didn't merit any compassion from me. If you think his death is my fault, you're as much of a fool as him. Fire, it's great to have you. What do you think your role was with the man?
I think I serve as comedic relief, really. The whole night, he tried and failed to build a fire, aka me. I was the only thing standing between him and death. His attempts at starting me were futile. The effort was there, but common sense, not so much. He had not thought about the consequences of starting a fire underneath a tree full and heavy with snow. I think that was common sense, but I guess not for him. It was truly comedic when the fuel of the fire became the thing that inhibited my strength. He did keep me well fed, well, for a while at least, until temperature and snow had their own plans.
It seems you had a great role in the man's journey, but do you consider him a hero?
Well, it's complicated. I think tragic hero is a much better label for the man that he was. He was flawed, we can all agree, but he was driven, which isn't something you could say for many. He was determined to succeed despite all the things working against him. It's easy for us to say that he was a complete fool, but humans make all kinds of foolish mistakes. The man was young. He was so consumed by the thought of his image that it distorted him from reason. Can we really blame him? His journey was that of a hero's, and his fatal flaw was his arrogance, which can be said for many.
How did you find the body? Who led you there?
The dog came to the village, whining and crying as if something was wrong. He led us to the body. It was a terrible sight. His body was overtaken by the frost, his eyelashes were frosted over with snow, and it seemed like his soul had already gone back to the States, telling everyone about his experience with the real cold. When he told us he was coming, we had all doubted he'd ever really make it to the camp because he had no partner with him. He'd always been that way, overconfident. He always had the impression that nothing could ever go wrong where he was concerned. However, even with his fatal flaw, he'd be considered a hero in my book. All the heroes from the stories we've known have a fatal flaw. The only thing that's different for him is that he died in the end. The question of whether he was a hero or not would not be debatable if he had survived.
You saw him through it all. What was your opinion of him?
He was clearly flawed. Even my help was not enough to support him. We can all agree that his first and most dire mistake was that he did not have a trail mate. The difference between the man and I is the fact that I was born to survive the cold. I've been genetically engineered to survive the wastelands of white snow and frosty breezes. However, when his demeanor changed, I was truly afraid of what he'd do to me. Desperation was written all on his face. I think the shift in his mood could be attributed to his absence of humanity in that moment. It was as if the human compassion and empathy from him dissipated with every second we spent in the cold. Then his primal and instinctual state took over and he tried to kill me. I understand why he did it, but the shift in him was so sudden that it took me by surprise. Then, this state left as quickly as it came. Once more, there was a shift in his demeanor when he realized death was on the horizon. That's the thing that separates us, the paralyzing fear of death humans feel. As an animal, I live only in the present without acknowledgement of the past and future.